Good evening. Before we get started, as we normally do for any Board of Trustee meeting, we start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if I can ask everyone to stand, join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. My name is Richie Lee. I'm the treasurer on the Board of Trustees for Mahwah Library. Zoe Casotis is the vice president, and on behalf of her and the rest of the trustees, we welcome you to meet the candidates tonight. We've been doing this for the past 10 to 12 years, and we think it's a great opportunity for you, the residents, to gain a little bit more insight as to the people that are running for office. Just to go over the format real quick. All the questions that are being asked, and there's going to be a few more questions asked than last night, only because it's just Janet and Jim. All the questions came from you, the residents. And we had a number of good questions, so probably 100% or maybe a little bit less are questions that came from the residents. There's no questions to be entertained by the audience. The format is Janet and Jim will have the opportunity for 2 minutes to give an opening statement. And then after that, we presented them with a question prior to this meeting. And then after that, we're going to rotate back and forth with a number of different questions for the candidates. So, Janet, I think you're first for the opening statement.
Good evening. Thank you for coming tonight to this important event. It's nice to see so many Mahwah residents here. My name is Janet Arima. I am a lifelong resident of Mahwah. I have 2 adult children and 2 young grandchildren. I have a master's degree in mathematics from the University of Maryland and a bachelor's degree in mathematics from Ramapo College. I spent 37 years in corporate America as an IT project manager. I am currently a mathematics professor at Ramapo College and Rockland Community College. I have been on the Mahwah Town Council and Environmental Commission for 10 years. I am running for mayor because I want to lower our taxes and stop the overdevelopment of Mahwah. I am an independent. I am not affiliated with any political parties. I am not afraid to ask questions and stand up for you, the people of Mahwah. I successfully fought against the cannabis store across from Mahwah High School and will continue to fight against retail cannabis in Mahwah. I will lower taxes by promoting non-residential growth that does not alter the character of our town like Crossroads will. I will give Mahwah the downtown that it deserves around the old post office. I will not approve any more pilot tax reduction programs for developers in Mahwah. I will set restrictions on warehouse sizes. I will not permit warehousing in residential areas. I will control affordable housing by joining the Montvale Affordable Housing Coalition to lower our affordable housing obligations. I will give residents a voice in our affordable housing decisions by creating an affordable housing committee consisting of experts, township officials, and at least 1 resident from each section of town. I will prioritize the construction of affordable housing for seniors, special needs, and veterans first. I will carry out business in an open and transparent manner and will post and broadcast weekly status reports, news, and events to keep residents informed. I will protect our water supply and keep our water pure by installing filtration systems on all our wells. I will preserve and maintain our parks, open spaces, and woodlands. And I will not rubber stamp every document that comes across my desk and will not sign until all my questions are answered. And I am convinced that the benefits outweigh the risks to the people of Mahwah. I will support our police, first responders, seniors, and veterans. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out tonight. For everyone who doesn't know me, I'm Jim Wysocki, and I'm the current mayor of Mahwah, New Jersey. I'm a lifelong resident of the township, 62 years. I graduated Mahwah High School in 1980. I'm self-employed. I own a company called Les Paul from start to finish. Through my business, I get to travel around the country and the state and talk about the contributions of Les Paul, and by default, I get to tell others about our wonderful town. I'm a former council member from 2017 to 2020. I retired from the Mahwah Police Department in 2010 after a 29-year career in law enforcement. I worked at the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office from 1989 to 1992 as an undercover narcotic squad member. I also worked in sex crimes and the fraudulent unit squad. I'm currently a volunteer fireman for the Mahwah Fire Department Ladder Company 2 for 45 years. I'm a member of the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office Arson Squad, serving since 1995. I'm a contributor and consultant for the Mahwah Museum, the Les Paul exhibit. I'm a former volunteer youth sports coach, baseball, softball, and hockey. I'm married with one adult daughter. Mahwah is my home. Mahwah is your home. I consider Mahwah and its residents my family. And as your mayor, I will do nothing but the best for our home and our family. Thank you.
First question was provided to the candidates in advance, and it is, what is your plan to lower taxes in Mahwah? If wasteful spending cannot be substantially identified, how will you increase revenue or adjust services to support tax reductions? And Jim will go first. Thank you.
Thank you. The only way one can answer this question is honestly, there is only one way to answer the question, to reduce our taxes. And that is to reduce our current level of services that we currently provide to our residents. Some of the big ticket items that seem easy targets for cost savings include transitioning a once-a-week garbage pickup from our current scheduled twice-a-week garbage pickup. The township tried this within the last 10 years or so, and the cost savings methods and our residents were very, very unhappy. Modifying our annual road program. This year, we paved over 10 miles of township roads. We could reduce that number to 7 or 8 and save money. However, that would create an issue for the residents whose roads are in need of repair and would create a long time period between maintenance and upgrades to keep our roads safe. So hypothetically, rather than roads being paved every 10 years, it may now be paved every 15 years. Reducing leaf pickup in the fall. We currently pick up 3 times, sometimes fall, depending on our schedules. Many residents already complain that this isn't enough time and there's too much time between pickups in their area. Services and activities for our senior center. I would hate to see our lively senior center become quiet. Maintenance of our fields and recreation opportunities for our adults and youth programs. We have spent a lot of money in upgrades making our parks and fields perfect in recent years. It would seem counterproductive to not maintain them at a level they are now. Lack of maintenance leads to rapid deterioration, which leads to shorter time for replacement. Decreasing the size of our municipal workforce, including our police department and our DPW. Modifying the schedule of equipment upgrades and replacement for all our emergency services, fire department, EMS. Realistically, no one ever wants to be in an emergency situation, and no one wants their call for help to be responded to by volunteers with outdated equipment. None of these scenarios are acceptable. Reduced services lead to reduced satisfaction, and residents reduce safety and reduce the quality of life. What we can do, what my administration has done and will continue in my next term, is to work to cut non-essential expenses, increase revenues, and think outside the box and find ways to seek opportunities to minimize tax rate increases while upholding and exceeding our levels of service. This commitment was exemplified this year when we achieved the lowest rate increase in the last 2 decades of 1.3%, well below the rate of inflation. During the period, we also expanded recycling initiatives, enhanced our police and DPW workforces, added 2 full-time positions to our township staff. We transitioned to a full-time recreation director. The creation of a full-time recreation director allows us to have full expectations of that person. These expectations increase programs, events, and for our residents, increasing revenue from major town events as the Food Truck Festival and Mahwah Day. Bringing in township engineer as a full-time employee led to the decrease in expensive contracting with outside firm professional engineering services. Given all these challenges posed by federal inflation rates affect the cost of goods and services for our municipality, it is unrealistic to expect a reduction in taxes, but I remain dedicated to exploring avenues to keep tax rates as low as possible, all the while ensuring our residents receive the superior level of service they've come to expect. Thank you.
Okay. I was asked not to talk in the mic. I will lower taxes by bringing in new ratables to help supplement the budget. Mahwah has waited too long for a downtown. I want to revitalize the area around the old post office site with small retail stores to provide people with a place to shop, walk around, socialize, and provide us with a new source of revenue. I also support small retail development along Franklin Turnpike, north of Miller Road, and want to offer incentives to help fill the stores in the Acme Shopping Center. I will work to keep existing corporate offices in Mahwah and reach out to companies searching for new locations to lure them to Mahwah. Next year, Mahwah will be facing an obligation of up to 900 more affordable housing units. Since 20% of those units built are usually affordable, this means Mahwah could face up to 4,500 new units. Our schools and infrastructure cannot handle this without massive tax increases. I want to lower our affordable housing obligations by joining the Montvale Affordable Housing Coalition, seeking to redistribute obligations more fairly across all towns in the state, including the 62 towns that are currently exempt. The Crossroads property has been given a pilot program. It's a tax reduction program. Pilots benefit developers and are offered to lure them into redeveloping depressed areas. Crossroads will be taking off our tax rolls for 30 years in exchange for a negotiated sum of money, none of which goes to the school budget. As taxes increase for the rest of us, Crossroads will have a fixed payment amount. I don't support pilot programs in Mahwah. I will bring in revenue by applying for grants to pay for projects such as water filtration systems for our wells. I support the 1033 program, allowing our police department to obtain excess Department of Defense equipment, such as night vision, vehicles, etc. This is at no cost and saves us tax dollars. I support the selling of all used fire engines and vehicles instead of donating them to other towns. And as for spending, I will work with our administrators to scrutinize the budget and eliminate wasteful spending. I will cut capital spending. I support buying gently used equipment if it is in good condition and the price is right. I support our DPW workers, but have been voting against the new DPW building because of unnecessary spending on multiple architects and space not needed by the Mahwah DPW. I support making better use of the shared services that the county has to offer. I helped deliver a budget with Mahwah's lowest tax increase in 20 years and will continue to work to drive down taxes to make Mahwah an affordable place to live and raise a family. Thank you.
The mayor is the CEO of Mahwah for all practical purposes. Question is, let's say a Fortune 500 or a multinational company wants to open up a facility in town. What is your 3-minute elevator pitch to sell Mahwah as a desirable location? And when you're ready, come on up. Take a few seconds.
Okay. let's see. Okay. I am the mayor of Mahwah, and I would like to recommend you to come to Mahwah, one of the most beautiful towns in New Jersey. We are Bergen County's parkland. We have lots of green acres here. We have lots of parks. It's a beautiful town, and we have a lot of education here. We have a state college here. We also have a lot of business here, and we have the infrastructure for your company. We also have all the cell towers. We have a data center here already. New York Stock Exchange is here. So we have all the facility here for you. If you want to open a data center, we have everything in place for you. And the people here are great. You'll love it here. We have lots of shops and restaurants, and I would love to, show you around some of these places, because once you go around Mahwah, you never want to go anywhere else, because you're going to love it here. And I'd like to invite you to one of our cafes, and you can see, you can see for yourself how great this town is. And thank you.
Thank you. The question, what do you do when a Fortune 500 company comes into Mahwah? How do you sell it to them? Well, if they come to Mahwah, they've done their homework. They know Mahwah is a great town to run a business in. The one thing we have to do is get the businesses involved. We have to visit the businesses. We had a company that just recently came into town called iLabs. And if everybody read the paper, I made it a personal appearance to the owner of iLabs to introduce myself. In the speaking to the gentleman, Mr. Chung, from Korea, who owns the company, we got to know each other, and this only happened within the last month. He was so impressed with our township, he donated $80,000 to the fire department to redo a fire truck. We have to get out there and show what Mahwah has. We have to show them what we can offer them. We have to work together. There's a banner program I'm sure everybody sees on MacArthur Boulevard. It's a way that we share our experiences and let our businesses, who, if it wasn't for our businesses, our ratables, our taxes wouldn't be where they are. We have to support our businesses. Our businesses are part of our town. We're a family. And so, in closing, I think it's very important that we have to partner with our businesses. Our businesses are the backbone, just like I say, our senior citizens. Without our businesses, our ratables aren't as good as they are, and our taxes would be nowhere where they are. So I think it's very important that we partner with not only Fortune 500 companies, but every business that comes into town. Thank you.
The next question. What is your position on modifying the town master plan with respect to future warehouse construction, data centers, and similar type of buildings, and their impact on air quality, traffic, noise, pollution, etc.? And Jim is the first.
Thank you. Our town master plan, we had just redone it, and I'm very in favor of our master plan. Our planners, Darlene Green, all our attorneys that we use. Respect to future warehouse construction, I really don't think we need any more future warehouse construction other than the Sheridan site. We do have ordinances in town that regulate our warehouses. The ordinances not only regulate the warehouses, we're able to regulate our tenant application, where we can regulate the traffic and how they operate their business. The types of businesses that impact on the quality of traffic, noise, pollution. We have a very, very good building construction division in our township. It would be up to our code officials to be out there monitoring noise complaints and doing their job. It's very, very important that we monitor the overdevelopment of this township. I lived here for 62 years. I remember when Ridge Road was a dirt road. This building wasn't even here when I was a kid. Overdevelopment is a big issue in this township, and it's something we have to curb. Unfortunately, the affordable housing, which I'm sure we're going to get into in a couple questions, is here, and it's here to stay. Thank you.
I believe that Mahwah has had its fill of warehouses. I do not want to see many more warehouses coming into Mahwah, and if they do, I want to see them so that they're not put in any residential area or anywhere near a residential area like was done on MacArthur Boulevard. I don't want to see anything more like that, so I want our master plan to make sure that the residents can feel safe, that they're not going to have a warehouse in their backyard. Also, after what happened at the Crossroads with the size of the fulfillment center, I want caps on all buildings in Mahwah. We're going to have one of the biggest buildings in the United States of America here in Mahwah, and I want our master plan to make sure that stuff like this doesn't keep happening. I don't want to see Mahwah become a city. So I want our master plan to protect us from that. So I want size restrictions on warehouses in these buildings that we're putting in. I also want anybody that comes into Mahwah to address the traffic. What's happening at the Crossroads, they're not even addressing the traffic problems. They're just going to put a massive complex there and not even help us fix the road, and the state doesn't want to help us fix the road. And I don't think that should be allowed, and somehow, yeah, if we can put that in our master plan, that they're going to have to be responsible for traffic improvements. You can't just come into Mahwah and do whatever you want and not be responsible for the mess you left us with. Similarly, with the air pollution and noise, I think we need to have restrictions too. Like at the Crossroads, I think they initially had a self-imposed 1,600-foot setback from residences in West Mahwah. I think that we have to have things like that in our master plan. We're going to have setbacks from residential neighborhoods and certain places where they build. We're going to have buffer zones. We don't want big buildings on top of residential neighborhoods. So I guess what I'm saying is, I want our master plan to protect our residents. I want them to go through the residential neighborhoods, and they want them to put restrictions on what can go near those neighborhoods. No more surprises. People don't want, a huge building in their backyard. They don't want to hear the trucks. They don't want to, wake up to noise and everything else. And I think, yes, we can put those protections in our master plan. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, staying on the Crossroads topic. Until the Crossroads development project is finalized and improved, what are your thoughts for improving safety and traffic flow at the 287-17 intersection curve? Because accidents immediately impact our roads and streets. You're up.
All right. The 287-17 intersection is probably the most dangerous intersection in Mahwah. And we have been trying to get the state to make improvements there. Now that the Crossroads is going in over there, it's going to get even worse. First off, like what I just said, I don't think the Crossroads should have been allowed to get an approval to rezone over there for such a large complex without, offering to do some kind of road improvements or at least help pay for them. The state of New Jersey has sent us a letter of no interest in improving that roadway. So I think that if I become mayor, I'm going to be making sure I go down to the state of New Jersey and trying to change their mind. I would probably bring the engineer with us for backup, and he could, show them all the statistics and why we need somebody to do something there. And the other thing is that last night, I believe Mr. Feason said something about having residents write in. And I was thinking about it, and I thought to myself, yeah, I think that's a good idea, but even better, next year's an election year, and I think we could make advantage of that. I think the governor's up for re-election, and I think that if we, the people of the town and the mayor and the council members and all, everybody in the town, if we all got together and somehow put pressure on Trenton to do something about the roadway there, and maybe in return, we could help support some of these people running for office. A lot of times, things get done when people are running for office. So I think we should take it to our advantage and try to reach out to some of these candidates and make them give us promises that they're going to fix the road over here by Route 287, or at least make it better so it's not as dangerous. Thank you.
Thank you. I've been a fireman for 45 years. I've been to many, many accidents on that overpass and that stretch of roads, many serious accidents and many fatal accidents. It took till the gas tanker flipped over a few years back that really got the attention of our state legislators. I contacted our Congressman Josh Gottheimer, who's a very close friend of mine. I contacted Holly Schapese, who's also a very close friend of mine. She's our state senator. Funny thing about that, you have a Democrat and you have a Republican. We all work together. Within a week, they came up, they changed the traffic pattern of the overpass. Since they changed that, I believe we've had one accident in that location. Getting before the overpass, you had 5 lanes of traffic going every which way, going into New York State, going to the Tappan Zee Bridge, going for a U-turn. We were able to shorten the lanes from 5 lanes to 4 lanes, and it took a phone call, one phone call to Josh Gottheimer. He stepped up, Holly Schapese stepped up, New Jersey State DOT stepped up, and the New York State DOT stepped up. We're working with multi-agencies. We're working with New York State Highway, New Jersey State Highway, and the DOT from the state that works out of Hohokus. We worked diligently to get this done, and it worked. The long term, like Mr. Arima stated, there was no interest by the state to come into DOT. They had no interest in fixing the problem. This is something that has to continue as far as getting a hold of our state people to come up and research this intersection. It's very dangerous, but they have done their job when we called to do something. They came up, they fixed it temporarily, and I believe the fix that they did is something that benefits every person who travels that highway. Thank you.
What is your long-term vision for Mahwah's downtown area along Franklin Turnpike? What can be done to fill the empty stores at Acme Plaza? And what is the status of development at the old post office site? Where do you fall under any proposed plans? And Jim, you're up first.
Thank you. Mahwah's downtown. I've lived here my whole life. Our downtown was always where Weaver's was, where Shears was, and where the post office was. You had a group of stores there. Over the last 20 years, the stores went out of business. Franklin Turnpike came in disrepair. The Acme Center is, in my eyes, very disgusting. You have 10 stores that are vacant in the Acme Shopping Center, and they're not doing anything to fill those stores. It's almost like they pay taxes on their building in the store, and they break even with the stores that aren't occupied. I think it's imperative that we work with the developer or the owner of that property to do something. Either do something as far as redevelopment, maybe make it something like they mentioned last night at the debate, something like Montvale, the Wegmans site, the Boulder Run site. But that's going to take a lot of time. The problem we have on the old post office site, the Monarch site, is we were in litigation with that property. The developer came in and wanted, everybody remembers, wanted to put a 195 unit apartment building there. You can't put it there. It's going to take time to put something that's going to be feasible for our township, something that's going to make our residents proud. And I'd like to be, have people involved. I think it's imperative that we build something there that the township wants. We build something that we want, and we can't let a developer dictate what goes there. It's our town. It's our time to say, hey, enough's enough. It's been over 20 years. Those buildings have been unoccupied. It's absolutely disgusting. Our town is better than that. And over time, I think Franklin Turnpike, we can make it better. I already have plans with our engineer to continue up East Ramapo Ave, from Veterans Park, the black lantern lights that go around Veterans Park, to continue them up East Ramapo Ave all the way to Island Road. Something to spruce up our old train station, Winters Pond, our old DPW site that will be coming down within the next few years. We'll have vacant land there. We'll be able to put something nice. But I think it's important that we all get together. We build something on these sites that's going to make it more attractive for our town. Our township is better than what sits there right now, and I think it's imperative that we all work together to get something done, something the town appreciates. Thank you.
Okay, by the old post office site, that was destined to, there was approval given for a seniors facility there. I voted against it because of the large number of beds, and it was going to make traffic a problem over there by the train trestle. So what happened is they lost their financing, so that's not going in anymore. And now they've been trying to put things in. I'm not sure how much I can say. So they lost their financing. They're trying to put things in, and I guess we're going back and forth. I believe we did take a vote, so I think I'm allowed to say that we are in the process of trying to reacquire that property. If we are successful in doing so, I want to revitalize that area around the old post office with small retail stores. I think that, it'll be good for us to finally, have a little area that we can call our downtown. On top of those stores, I'd like to see one level of apartment buildings. Those apartment buildings hopefully would be all affordable, so we can get some of our affordable housing obligation in over there. And then by the Acme Shopping Center, I'd like to offer them some kind of incentive to actually fill those stores, because obviously they're not getting filled. We have the power of advertising in Mahwah. We could offer them, we could lure them in by saying we're going to give you some kind of advertising, and we'll get people to, come in, shop in your stores if you can fill them. And I'd also like to offer them some kind of a temporary tax break of some sort. I would have to talk with other people in town, but of what we could offer. But I would like to offer them some kind of a temporary tax incentive to come in and come to Mahwah. And then all along Franklin Turnpike, I believe that we can try to support more stores along there. It all should be small retail, because we don't want a lot of traffic clogging up Franklin Turnpike. And then I don't know if we're going to be asked this later, but by the old DPW, I'd like to see that area change so that we make that a park. I'd like to see a park there with parking. And I'd like to have it so that we spruce up Winters Pond, and we have like a walking trail, and then people can come across the street to go to the new park. And that would all kind of fit in with the new post office property being redeveloped as a little shops downtown. It would all be one. And that's my vision. Thank you.
What are your thoughts about having a marijuana/cannabis business in town? You already touched upon it. You have a second.
We've been through cannabis before. I do not support retail cannabis sales in Mahwah. When a retail cannabis shop was proposed across from Mahwah High School a few years ago, our mayor spoke favorably about the proposal, explaining the economic benefits to be gained. I objected to the store and was the only council person to oppose the introduction of the ordinance. The location could not have been worse. We need to protect our children and not put cannabis within easy reach of them. The Mahwah Municipal Alliance and other organizations have been working hard to keep our youth drug-free, and we should help them accomplish their goals by keeping cannabis out of Mahwah. I am not a risk taker. I believe that Mahwah should not be the first town in our area to allow the sale of cannabis. We may get extra revenue, but at what cost? Being the first and only town with cannabis sales will draw large crowds of people from the surrounding areas into Mahwah, causing unwanted traffic congestion. It will be a burden to drive down local streets and highways. We will need increased police presence around the store. 1 week ago, burglars arrived in multiple vehicles at a cannabis store in Oakland, California, and used one of their vehicles to ram through the front of the store. They robbed the store and fled in another vehicle. Do we want this happening in Mahwah? There is also an increased risk of accidents due to people consuming cannabis products and driving around high. I asked the town council to put the question of allowing retail cannabis sales to a referendum for voters to decide, but they refused to do so. I do not support cannabis sales in Mahwah. Thank you.
Thank you. Everything with cannabis became location, location, location. I don't believe there is a location in Mahwah for cannabis. We do have our little smoke shops, which I was against the smoke shops, and they somehow got into town with the verbiage with the ordinance. There are two sides to the story with cannabis. I worked in narcotics for 3 years. I know cannabis and drugs very well. I know what can happen when you abuse it, even if you don't abuse it. We had a tragedy in our town a few years back with cannabis, where two family members died because they got cannabis from the black market. The cannabis they got was laced with fentanyl. They passed away. The only pro to a cannabis shop, and I'm not saying to be in Mahwah, but you're purchasing, being it is legal, you're purchasing a product that is federally regulated. You're getting the cannabis that is regulated, and you know you're getting something that is not tainted with fentanyl. Fentanyl is an additive to a drug to get you addicted to it. They're starting to put it into cannabis. Cannabis is not an addictive drug unless it's laced with fentanyl. I'm against the cannabis shop being in Mahwah. Yes, it is a good moneymaker. Don't get me wrong. I look at Rochelle Park. I talk to the mayor. The money there is crazy. They're getting monthly, hundreds of thousands of dollars every 2 weeks. You have to put it in perspective. Our highway is our highway. Our town is our town. I don't think Mahwah should have a cannabis shop because, again, like I said, it's location, location, location. Are we going to make that much money? Is the life worth that much money? I don't think so. But the black market is there. People can go across the border. They can go to Patterson. They can go anywhere they want to get any drug they want. Let's just not make it in Mahwah. Thank you.
Mahwah has experienced many water main breaks over the past year. What will you do to address the structural integrity and safety of our water infrastructure? Jim's up first.
I've worked many water breaks with the water department. They have their water main breaks, it seems, every night at about 1 in the morning, and it's 2 degrees out. I go, I get them coffee. Our town water department is probably one of the biggest assets our township has. Our township currently has 7 water wells. They're all in operation. We have 1 new one that's under construction. Each of our water wells produce 5,000 gallons of water per minute. A filtration system is being added to our system, but that doesn't fix the problem of our infrastructure. Our infrastructure is something that we have to protect. Our infrastructure and our water department is a great asset to the town because of the amount of money we bring in. Not every town has 7 water wells. A lot of towns have to buy their water from Viola, Suez. I'll just give you some examples of what they pay for it. With our 7 water wells, each water well produces 5,000 gallons of water per minute. Over the last 10 years, the DEP came in and said, we don't have enough water. You have to buy water from the water company. We bought water from Suez. We purchased 950 gallons of water from Suez on top of the water we make ourselves at a cost of $120,000 a month. If we didn't have these water wells, our taxes wouldn't be anywhere where they are now. It's very vital we protect our infrastructure to protect our water wells. Our water is our best asset. Our water is the most viable thing we can ever have. The most important thing our township has is our water. And our water infrastructure is something we have to protect. It could get very costly. Water main breaks, we're lucky we haven't had a big one. If anyone remembers, years ago, we had the water main break under the field at Mahwah High School, 24-inch water main break. That can happen anywhere. We have to protect our infrastructure. We have to keep our water department. Our water department is probably the best in the state. They're out there every day checking our fire hydrants. Everybody got an IXL for the last week. They're flushing their fire hydrants. Our water department is on top of their game, and they do a very, very good job. It's important we keep them happy, we keep them working, and it is very important to sustain our water system. Our infrastructure is something we cannot let go by the wayside. Thank you.
We've been having problems in Mahwah with flooding and with our stormwater drainage that's coming down from Cragmere. Our engineer, Mike Kelly, has hired an outside agency to figure out how to fix the problem, and we're going to be putting in new drainage pipes, possibly down Miller Road. That's one of the possibilities where we're going to put it. We're not quite sure where yet. But he has a firm that's hired that's going to be doing an analysis on that. I think that we should maybe include the water mains in Mahwah in that analysis and have an outside agency try to let us know what they think we should be doing to protect the water mains in Mahwah, because what's been happening is as we've been paving the roads in Mahwah, we've been getting water main breaks afterwards, like shortly afterwards, not always, but that's when it usually happens, is after the road's been paved. So yeah, our infrastructure is aging. I think that we need an outside agency of engineers to look at the problem and to consult with us and let us know what they think we should do. And I also think, again, that it should be done in conjunction with the stormwater drainage that we're going to be putting in, because if, we're going to get the experts to tell us what to do with the stormwater drainage, but well, I'd like to have them tell us what to do with our water mains. That's my question, my answer. Thank you.
Affordable housing impacts many towns across New Jersey. Do you believe Mahwah can continue to absorb additional state mandates while preserving quality of life, and how? Is the town currently in compliance with the Affordable Housing Edict, or are there more affordable housing units being planned, and where?
Beginning of this is very easy. No, we cannot continue to absorb additional state mandates while preserving the quality of life in Mahwah. It's impossible. And I have a little bit of a written statement, so let me read it and then I'll finish. I support affordable housing, and I want to prioritize affordable housing for seniors, special needs, and veterans. I want to give residents a voice in our affordable housing decisions by creating an affordable housing committee consisting of experts, township officials, and at least one resident from each section of Mahwah. The committee will carry out its business in an open and transparent manner. Minutes will be posted for all to see. Next year, Mahwah will be facing an obligation of up to 900 affordable housing units. Since 20% of the units built are usually affordable, this means Mahwah could face up to 4,500 new units. Our schools and infrastructure cannot handle this many new families without massive tax increases. I want to lower our affordable housing obligation to a more reasonable and sustainable amount by joining the Montvale Affordable Housing Coalition. And they seek to redistribute obligations more fairly across all towns in the state, including the 62 towns that are currently exempt. I support also purchasing existing residences and converting them into group homes for seniors, special needs, or veterans. And for larger projects, instead of plowing down green acres, I support the acquisition of buildings such as hotels that are going out of business and converting them into affordable units. All projects should first have the approval of the new Affordable Housing Committee before moving forward. And to answer the question, are we currently in compliance? Yes, we are. As a matter of fact, we have additional units. We went over and above the round 3 obligations. So we're in a good place, but we're getting, now that we're finishing up, we're going to be getting up to 900 more, and we cannot absorb this. We have to do something, and we have to do something now. Mahwah is not going to, be able to handle this. Thank you.
Fair share housing, affordable housing. This is a difficult pill to swallow, to have someone in some office somewhere else in the state to tell us what to do. However, it's an easier pill to swallow when they try to understand what fair share housing is about. The basic belief and goal of fair share housing is that everyone deserves a safe, healthy, and affordable place to call home. And we all agree that our town offers a safe and healthy environment with beautiful open spaces, blue ribbon schools, superior township services. Who wouldn't want to live here? Fair share housing was created through the Mount Laurel Civil Rights case in 1975. Fair share housing is a part of life in New Jersey, and it's here to stay. At this point in time, I was in very good standing with Fair Share Housing Authority. We have learned from our own experiences that the best way to manage our responsibilities in the area of fair share housing is to work with the state, to have open, honest, and civil discussions with the authority to work together with them. Through conversations and negotiations with Fair Share Housing Authority, we have been able to find creative ways to meet the obligations and to meet the needs of specialized groups of residences. We have addressed the need for affordable housing for seniors by purchasing Norfolk Village. Group homes is another way in which we can meet our fair share housing requirement as well as the needs of our residents. In the near future, we will begin to address housing for veterans. All of these specialized groups add diversity and character to our community while also meeting our fair share housing obligation. We will continue to work with the state so that we can manage the locations and types of housing being built and strategically prepare for the impact that increased housing and development will have on our infrastructure and resources. I would rather be involved in planning and designing our future than have someone who doesn't care about the town the way I do, the way we all do. And the way we do that is by negotiating and working together. Thank you.
The cost for the new DPW has exceeded initial projections. A, would you have done anything differently to avoid the higher cost? B, can you advise the residents when the new building will be completed and what the impact on the present recycling center will be? Thank you.
Our new DPW. Again, I've been in town for a long, long time. Our township DPW, they outgrew their DPW 20 years ago. The building should have been replaced 15 years ago. Currently, they employ 47 employees at our DPW. They have over 125 vehicles that are serviced by our DPW. We have millions and millions of dollars of equipment at our DPW that sits outside. It's a lot of money, but if we did it when we should have done it, it wouldn't cost us nearly what it is. We had the space, we took the chance, and we're building a state-of-the-art DPW. Our employees deserve it, but more so our town deserves it. The new building should be done within the next 2 years. It's going to be a state-of-the-art facility. It's something that we desperately need. Our DPW workers are part of the backbone of this township. We have over 85 miles of township roads and over 25, 30 miles of county roads. Those roads need to be sanded, plowed, leaves picked up, or recycling picked up. It's not fair to the employees. It's not fair to the township. We borrow money. We're a AAA bonded township. AAA bonded means we can borrow money on bonds at a much lower rate than any other municipality in the state. Mahwah is one of 5% of the 550 towns in the state of New Jersey that is AAA bonded. Yeah, we borrow money, but we are able to pay that money back in a way where other towns would have to pay a lot more money and take a lot more out of their taxes to pay that back. The impact on the recycling center staying where it is. They will have more room. The present building will probably be torn down. The recycling center will be expanded. Our recycling center is something that services the entire township. It's a location that I think is centrally located. I don't think it would be a good idea to put it over on Mesick Lane where the new DPW is going. So the recycling center is going to stay where it is. But as far as our DPW center, it's something that the town deserves, something that the employees deserve. It's not fair to an employee of this township when they go into work Monday morning and the secretaries sit at their desk and there's mice and rat feces every Monday morning on their desk. We deserve better. Our township employees and our township deserves better than what they have now. Thank you.
I support our DPW workers, but I've been voting against the new DPW building because of unnecessary spending on multiple architects and space not needed by the Mahwah DPW. As of date, we have spent over $11 million on the project, and there is not even a shovel in the ground yet. In 2019, I brought the mayor and every council member a hard copy of the site plans of the recently completed steel-framed DPW building in Randolph, New Jersey. The architect was a member of their planning board and offered to assist us, but I was dismissed. Instead, we proceeded with a different architect who drew up plans for an overpriced brick-and-mortar building. When I asked questions about the plans, I was thrown off the committee. After the plans were completed and over $1 million was spent on the architects, the mayor and council learned that the total cost to build the DPW building was approaching $40 million. So a new architect was hired to draw up plans for a steel frame building just like in Randolph, New Jersey. Additionally, council members assisted that the building not only service Mahwah vehicles and fire trucks, which we currently do not service, but also vehicles from out of town, thus increasing the size of the mechanics area. Since Bergen County already has a garage that services all municipal vehicles in the county, we will be competing with them. So no research has been done to determine if this endeavor would even be possible. So I consider this a risk of taxpayers' money, and one of the reasons I have been voting against it. I am a fiscal conservative. I will not take any risks with your money. And as for the recycling center, yes, I believe it's going to remain at the present location. And as I said before, when they do take down the old DPW building, I do not want a rec center there. I want to put a park there with parking, and I think that's a better use because it blends in with the area that we're going to be putting over there with the retail shops by the old post office. Thank you.
What is your vision for the property along Ridge Road known as the McBride property, which the town purchased over 20 years ago? I think Janet.
Okay. The McBride parcel on Ridge Road is one of the last green spaces left for the people in Society Hill and Ridge Gardens. First, the town allowed a giant warehouse on the corner of Ridge Road and MacArthur Boulevard, which all the condominiums objected to. Now, The condominiums are all, they're losing the woods next to Ridge Gardens to an affordable housing complex, which they also objected to, and I voted against that. To take away any part of their last green space is totally unjust to those people over there, and I am against it. I think we have to keep it green. And the reason that we have green acres is to keep the area green and not to start chopping down trees to make an amphitheater for concerts or whatever else that is being proposed there. I don't want to see that property touched. I want to leave it. I want to leave it green. I don't want to take down any trees. And if elected mayor, I will guarantee that this will not happen on my watch. Thank you.
The McBride property on Ridge Road. It extends from MacArthur Boulevard all the way to Ridge Road. I believe there's up to 10, 11 acres there. I just opened that up to hunting, for bow hunting for our deer population. I'd like to see a park there. Green acres is for that reason. We have several parks that are green acres. There's a catch though. Green acres were funded by the state halfway and we pay the other half. It allows anyone in the state or in the country to come to any of our parks and participate. It's a downfall. I too do not like overdevelopment. I don't like cutting trees down. It's property that could benefit our town. And one thing we need in town, I believe, is more parks, more ball fields, more soccer areas. I'd love to see a band shell back there. I'd love to see it. It's an area that's secluded. It's a downhill from Ridge Road. Face, whatever you do, face it towards 287. You won't even know it's there. The Green Acres project is something that some towns wish they had. We could leave it Green Acres, we just leave it undevelopable. But let me make it real clear, and anybody watching, Green Acres means anybody can go on that property and enjoy whatever we have. Thank you.
Are there plans for property tax reduction or freezes for senior citizens?
At the present time, there are no plans for property tax or freeze on senior citizens other than the anchor program. For the senior citizens, the anchor program for the township, you can go to the senior center in Sea Alley and get the application. There is only one group of people that do get tax breaks in our township, and it's a 100% disabled veteran. I believe we have 3 of them. It's a hard subject. I'd love to reduce taxes for our senior citizens. It's hard to do. I'd love to reduce our taxes for our emergency services. Advised by our CFO, that's impossible. It's a state law we cannot do. But as of right now, we have the anchor program for a freeze on our seniors for the taxes. Other than that, there's nothing being discussed. But it's something that will be talked about with council, with myself, our administrator, and our legal team. Thank you.
New Jersey has a property tax reimbursement program called a senior freeze for seniors 65 years of age or older. You must own a home and make less than $163,000 a year. The first time you file a PTR form, property tax reduction, you establish a base year. Then each year afterward, you receive reimbursement from the state of New Jersey for the amount of your property taxes that increased since the base year. It's a great program that helps ends meet for our seniors. New Jersey also has an anchor program. It's a property relief program for homeowners who make less than $250,000 a year in gross income. Qualifying homeowners can receive up to $1,750 this year. This is another great program that helps make ends meet for our residents. Our water and sewer rates increased this year. When we discussed the new rates at a council meeting, I stated that the increase was not fair to seniors because seniors can have their property taxes frozen, but can't freeze their water and sewer rates. I wanted to exempt seniors from the increases. Instead, the mayor announced a 25% discount on the water minimum for seniors. This works out to roughly $10 discount, which is 2.5% of my last water and sewer bill. I think seniors deserve to be protected from rate increases in our water and sewer bills, just like they're protected from property tax increases. If elected, I will work to exempt seniors from the latest water and sewer rate increases. Thank you.
What are the plans to increase volunteers as well as supporting VERSA, which is the Volunteer Emergency Responder Supporters and Advocates?
Yes, I think that, it's good to have more volunteers than what we have now. I think we're going to have to advertise this in the Mahwah newsletter and put out Facebook posts and the Nixles and start asking people to come and volunteer. Right now, we do have a lot of volunteers. Our fire department is all volunteer. Our emergency services, they're all volunteer. So we have a great group of volunteers, but we could use more. And then VERSA is also a new committee that we formed that's going to help support our volunteers. But for now, all I can say is I think we have to do better advertising and more word of mouth to get the people to come out and help Mahwah with everything that we need help with. Thank you.
The volunteer system in our township. There was a study done approximately 25 years ago about volunteers, and it was a paid fire department. At the time, the cost would have been $7 million for a paid fire department. We've been good with our fire department in EMS. Recently, I, along with our fire chief, Cordmeyer, initiated a stipend program because our volunteers were slacking. The increase of people coming in to join the fire department was very, very off. We didn't have the people that were coming in as we did in the past. We were going to fires with 2 to 3 people on a fire truck, very unsafe. We were calling mutual aid to fire alarms. It's something that Mahwah, we're better than that. And I instituted a stipend program with the fire chief, which states if you get on a fire truck, you get $20. At night, if you get on a fire truck, you get $40. Now you do the math, we do almost 800 calls a year. It's a good chunk of change. And by doing that, we increased our response to 4 or 5 people on a fire truck. The firemen do have a low-SAP program where it's paid half by the town. They do have it. It's almost like a pension program. But our volunteers are slacking off in the fire service. No one has the time to do 6 months of volunteer training at the Police and Fire Academy. It's a dying breed. The last thing we can afford to do is have a paid fire department. I have faith, I have trust in our fire service. I've been one for 45 years. I still wake up at 2 in the morning to put out fires. It's in my blood, I love it. The problem is the younger generation, it's a totally different animal now. And we have to do whatever we can to keep our fire service. Stipend programs, incentives for our volunteers. We just included our EMS with the stipend program. The EMS have almost 80 volunteers, and I believe the stipend program that I initiated with our fire chief is a direct example of trying to build up our volunteer service. Thank you.
Mahwah's initiatives for its senior community include a dedicated center and a calendar of events. Beyond general events like Mahwah Day, how do you intend to specifically support new residents and young families to ensure they feel a strong connection to Mahwah?
I've always said this since I've been a councilman. Our senior citizens are the backbone of this township. It's my obligation, it's the town council's obligation to take care of our senior citizens. 3 years ago, we had a problem with our Norfolk Village. The lease ran out, which meant that the owner of the property was going to take over control of that rate of rent and charge whatever he wanted for our senior citizens. The council stepped in, and with the approval of administration, we purchased Norfolk Village so we could make sure that our seniors had a stable place to live at a stable rate of rent. Our senior center is operated by Allie and Nikki. Probably our senior center is probably one of the best in the state, and I believe probably in the country. I'm down there every day, seeing the seniors down there doing their Zumba, doing their dances, and it's such a sight to see where all these senior citizens are so happy. We have to include them in everything. Again, they are our backbone of the town. Allie and Nikki do the best job ever getting our seniors involved. I was at a meeting yesterday at the Senior Advisory Board, and it's nice to see the meeting increase in people coming. It started, we had maybe 5, 10, 15. I think there were 20 seniors there yesterday. Just want to be involved into what we can do better to make them more comfortable and give them what they deserve. Again, our seniors are the backbone of this town, and it's our job to take care of them. Thank you.
So to welcome new families, I think that we could have more fireworks, more new movie nights. We have Meet the Bunny, something that we don't have a lot of. We have Mahwah Day, but we don't really have street fairs here in Mahwah. I'd like to see more of that, like where people can come and, you know, and it'd be like a craft fair. And I'd like to see more street fair, or I'd like to start street fairs in Mahwah. Let's see, and more parades. I think we have a bunch of parades now, but we could have more parades. But as for the senior center, I'd like to subsidize the trips a little bit more. I am a member of the senior center, and I think that the trips cost a little bit too much money for seniors. I think it was last year. There was a lunch at the Brownstone. I think it was just, it was a regular everyday lunch. It wasn't anything that fancy. I think every senior had to pay $80 to have a lunch. I think that's kind of high for seniors. I'd like to see us subsidize the senior trips a little bit more than what we're doing right now. But other than that, I think, you know, we're doing a good job at the senior center, and it's very heavily used. And there's always a lot of people there. Everybody enjoys it. And I support the senior center as a member and as a councilwoman. I support them, and they're doing a great job there. Thank you.
What are your thoughts about improving Wi-Fi in Mahwah?
Well, I hope that you mean cell service, but anyway, so for cell service, I think there's a lot of spots in Mahwah that do not have adequate cell service. We get complaints from residents across town in different areas. Right now, we're getting complaints from Rio Vista. Their cell service is lacking over there. I believe that we have a consultant working on it. There's also another spot over, I think, by Polis that people are complaining. So I think that we're going to have to do a little bit more with the cell service. Everybody in town deserves to have a good cell service. I was speaking with my neighbor the other day about that. He's in cell service, and I think that if we are not getting anywhere with the people that we have now that are working on the problem, that we maybe have to start looking for other experts to solve the problem, especially in Rio Vista, because I was told that we couldn't put nodes in Rio Vista on the poles because you would have to put it on every pole. But I just talked to an expert that said, no, that's not true. As long as you make the pole high enough, you can do all of Rio Vista. So I would like to revisit that with our experts and maybe, you know, I'd like to hear from them. They don't report to me. I think they should come to the council and tell us what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing, and I'm going off and I'm trying to research myself, and I really don't think I should be doing that. So I'd like to know what's going on myself. And again, I'd like to get some new experts in there that can solve the problem, especially in Rio Vista. Thank you.
Self-service. We had this issue in Masonicus, and we conquered that problem. I congratulate the council for sticking together. I was on the council at the time. That was a big deal. It took 3-4 years to get it done, but it's finally finished. Wi-Fi is something that Mahwah needs. Everyone rarely uses their home phone. We usually use our cell phone. If I lose my cell phone, I'm lost. I make all my connections every day with this thing. And there's areas in town where we do have poor cell service. Just this weekend, I was contacted by a resident of Pond Meadow, and she said she's got spotty service. I immediately contacted Declan O'Scanlan, who was our cell tower consultant. Ben Kuzmarski, our administrator, also spoke to Declan, who's going to investigate the problem with Pond Meadow. I believe we do own property out in Fardale, the corner of Wyckoff and Forest Road, in a little gully where they did a music video back in the day with Cyndi Lauper. There used to be an old house there. We own that property. I believe if we need be, we can investigate to put a cell tower there. That would take care of the problem in Pond Meadow, which is, as the crow flies, about a half a mile away. Rio Vista is another problem we had. I again contacted Declan O'Scanlan, our consultant, who also spoke to Mrs. Abbott, who was the manager at Rio Vista, and threw some ideas at her about nodes, a cell tower on the water tower, which is off of up by Brams Hill Road. There are issues with the tank. The tank is a concrete tank. It wouldn't sustain the concrete or the metal bands that have to go around to support the cell tower. We've investigated many, many options in Rio Vista, and we're not giving up. We're going to find a solution, and we're going to take care of it. Improving Wi-Fi across Mahwah is something that's very important, and no one wants a cell phone that doesn't work. It leaves you out of the loop of everything. Cell service nowadays is something that I believe you have to have. And I am strongly for 100% Wi-Fi and cell service in the township. And I'll work to do whatever we can to make sure Mahwah is 100% compatible with the Wi-Fi and cell service. Thank you.
Our last question for the evening. Reflecting on your previous term, what specific actions or decisions do you wish you had handled differently? Looking ahead, what changes or strategies will you implement to address these areas and ensure more effective governance?
Anyone can play Monday morning quarterback. There's things we do, things I do that I always say I'd love to do differently. Fair share housing, I don't think that's one of them. We worked with them. We don't fight with them. A lot of people say you should fight with fair share housing. We didn't fight, we negotiated, and I believe that's one aspect of what we do on the council and administration the right way. I really don't think there's many things I can say I wish I did differently. Everything is just so well run in this township. My first day as mayor, our town was not in good shape. Our infrastructure was falling apart. Our employees were not happy. I do the same thing again the first day I went into work. I sat everybody down in town hall and I said, I've got 4 things I want you to do. First is come to work with a smile. Second, go home with a smile. Third, don't bring this place home with you. And number 4, never use your sense of humor. It's important to have a workforce that stands by you. It's important as a mayor to trust your workforce. I don't believe, again, I don't think I'd change anything that has been done. We hired a engineer, in-house engineer. A lot of people said that wasn't a good move. We had Boswell Engineering. I said, I think it's a good idea to save a lot of money for our township. We hired Mike Kelly, who I think is probably one of the best civil engineers in the business. We had a big fight with Kevin Boswell because he was upset we took his #1 guy, but oh well. There's things that I did. And I don't do things by myself. I'm not that kind of guy. I always get someone, Ben, someone from the council. Let's talk about what we're doing. And I can honestly say, I really don't think there's anything I would change with what I've done in the last 3.5 years. Looking forward, we have to put Mahwah first. The one thing I will say about our families, about our employees, is that your family comes first. Your job is second. I understand that. I respect it. But as far as would I do anything different, I think we're on the right path, and I think we need to keep going in the direction we're going. Thank you.
Well, should have, would have, could have. Now that I see what we're going to get at the crossroads, I think that we would have been better off going back to where we were at the beginning. And where we were at the beginning was to have a mall, and I think that if we would have bargained with the developer and somehow made it smaller, somewhere like, Tice's Corners, like a little mall, I think we would have been better off with that than what we got now. I am so against the crossroads. I think it's going to change the entire character of this town. And almost anything would have been better than this. The thing, we're going to set records with the building there. I mean, 125-foot high building in Mahwah. It's amazing that we're allowing this to happen to our town. So I think we would have been better off going back and saying to the developer, hey, why don't we talk about this mall? We'll scale it down a bit, we'll make it more so it isn't like a, make it like a town mall, like a small mall, and maybe negotiate it a little bit better, because look what we're ending up with. Thank you.
Okay, before I close, just a reminder for anyone, if you know of any family or friend that missed the event tonight, it will be archived on the Mahwah Library YouTube link. So you can go there tomorrow, and I think, Kurt, we archived that for an extended period of time, correct? Good. Okay. On behalf of the trustees, we'd like to thank Jim and Janet. We hope you found it informative. And again, thank you for coming.